Hey everybody, welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson,
And I'm Tom Hoblin.
and we got a big week ahead of us. The Indy Oval is back. They're running on the Brickyard. It's about damn time. We got Pocono we're gonna discuss from this past weekend, but Tom, before we get into all that, let's talk our diecast of the week. What you got for us today?
So I got one actually that I bought off of Goodwill. It showed up on a Goodwill site. My sister-in-law sent it to me, but it's a Kyle Busch Hendrick 5 Kellogg's and it's in good condition. I got it for about $30.
Sweet.
With it was $10 that I bid for it, and then it just with shipping and everything is $30. But really cool piece, just got in the mail and thought I'd share it this week.
Nice, man. Yeah, Goodwill or antique stores are like the best place to find
Yeah,
old
I was
NASCAR diecasts. And
I got to remember to just pop on Goodwill because it's also that nobody knows that it's there.
yeah.
Like so there's another one, the Susan G. Komen um, pink M&M's car was on
Oh,
there for super cheap, but I didn't win it. Um, and I checked later, it ended up going for like $60, which is probably a little bit more than I wanted to spend on Goodwill. But I mean, that
yeah.
car, you get it signed, it'll sell for $200 on eBay. So
Yeah, for real. Alrighty. Well, for my diecast of the week, we are going to the Brickyard. So I had to bust out Kevin Harvick's 2019 Brickyard 400 win. I was there for this race. That was my first time seeing Kevin Harvick win in person. Beat Bubba Wallace. He came in second place in that race. I remember
yeah,
second or third place. I can't remember, but he ran a good race. But Kevin Harvick was better, and he put on one hell of a burnout. So cool to see it, and that's probably one of my most special die casts I got.
if you're a newer viewer, Ian's diecast of the week every week, you can probably bet is going to be a Kevin Harvick diecast. He's got a ton of them, and they're
Yeah,
all really cool.
this entire case is all Kevin Harvick right here. That's for damn sure. Lots of memories.
hmm
But guys, let's get into the top stories from this week. We were talking about it last week. Noah Gragson, he is officially going to Front Row Motorsports. He has a home for next year. So 3 out of the 4 Stewart Haas guys have a ride. Question marks for Ryan Preece.
the graphic NBC had on during the race was so funny. Where it's just like
Oh,
Ryan Priest and 3 question marks. It's like, you know what? Yeah, yeah, that's an accurate description.
yeah, pretty much because we don't know where this guy is gonna go. He's
No.
great down in the Xfinity series and the Truck series if you
Mhm.
give him a good ride. So hopefully end up somewhere down there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good future. He's a good driver. It's just the nature of this car is that if you're not one of the top 10 guys, then you're scrambling to run 25th all of a sudden. It doesn't make much sense, but we've seen glimmers of hope with him in the Cup Series, but track position consistency issues have plagued him.
Yeah, it has been a rough go of it. So moving on, Bubba Wallace, he was fined $50,000
Man,
from last week's race in Chicago. This came out the day after we recorded last week.
we
Um,
we were so sure that this was going to be a nothing burger. We didn't even talk about it last week.
yeah,
Like we glossed over it, and I think it's ridiculous personally. Um, and Denny said on his podcast today, he said the only reason, at least in his opinion, that Bubba got fined was because Bowman was the race winner and they had a 4K camera on it.
yeah.
Because Chase Elliott had a I guess a standard definition camera off of Hemrick's car on his, and he didn't get any of his. So
Same situation.
exact same stuff. I think it's a little bit much. I'd be okay with a fine, but maybe like 10, 15, not 50 grand for that. That seems
Yeah.
egregious.
Yeah, I'm okay with the fine. I'm glad they didn't do a points penalty
hmm
because this did not happen during the race. I understand why they would do it. They want to set a precedent. Yeah, it happened like as Bowman was going around on his victory lap. His window net was down. He smacked into the wall. Yeah, I mean, it's a very fine
hmm
line, but I'm very happy.
I don't like any of those arguments though, because there's screenshots and videos showing up all over Twitter this past week of Chase Elliott at Martinsville running Denny into the wall after Denny spun him.
Yeah,
Um, when Denny confronted Bowman on the front stretch, also at Martinsville, window net was down there. So it just it just seems a little bit weird. A little bit
It's
weird.
it's just NASCAR being consistent, like
Hmm.
usual, like we've
Yeah.
seen with them
Yeah.
handling the rules. So yeah, no, I totally
Bubba
get you. Like this was kind of out of nowhere.
Bubba seems to be handling it well. He actually said he did speak with your friend Kevin Harvick there. Um, maybe helped him take a different perspective on it. And no appeals coming. Denny Hamlin basically said from 2311's perspective, why extend it out any longer than it is and then it needs to be. So it's what's done is done. They want to move forward. They don't want to have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah. No need to. And yeah, like you said, Bubba, he took this as kind of like a learning experience. He said, yeah, maybe I'm a little too hot-headed on the track. I need to kind of cool things down a little bit. So yeah,
You just hate to see NASCAR stifling personalities. I don't think this was unsafe. I don't think he was even too hot-headed. This guy that ruined his race because he was fiddling with a wiper, goes on wins. I'd be pissed off too. Like I don't know. Um, it's just weird. You can't premeditate stuff. They didn't even say it was premeditated. That wasn't part of their arguments. Not like it. Oh well, it happened before the rain delay, so you should have calmed down by then. But no, it wasn't even that. Just
yeah,
weird.
no. Wouldn't you be pissed off if the guy that took you out of the race ended up winning the damn race? Yeah. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I probably would
Well, I
have done
mean, you're
worse.
running with him. You're running
Yeah.
with him at one point in the race. Who's to say that you don't pull the right strategy cards and get put up right there with him?
Yeah,
Not saying
exactly.
Bubba was going to go out and win the Chicago Street Race, but I mean, in that moment, he and Bowman were in the same spot in the field.
Yeah.
Play your cards right, you go out and win.
What could have been? Well, let's move on. Our last top story, JD Motorsports. It was announced today that they filed for bankruptcy back in May
In
and to
April, in
in
April, yeah.
April. And today they let a bunch of employees know that they were being let go. So, Tom, that's pretty big that we've seen JD Motorsports. They've been around in this sport for a very, very long time down in the Xfinity series. They've always had a great relationship with their drivers and employees, and looks like everything's kind of coming to an end here.
Yeah, I mean these cars were always very competitive just a few years ago, and like Ross Chastain was pushing to get these cars in the playoffs when he was driving for them. And it was a good stepping stone for some of these, backmarker drivers with potential to kind of get into a little bit better situation and go be competitive. And it's not always worked out, and they obviously running the Xfinity series is probably expensive and they need their own help and whatnot. But again, it just for the employees and for the fans, it just stinks to see maybe people losing jobs and losing a presence in the sport. And we don't know what's going to happen. They're planning to bring a car to Indianapolis, but as some of the employees said, they're like, wow, we don't know how they're going to do that because they fired us all. So like we'll see. But I mean, just a little bit of string of bad luck for them recently. Neither car made Chicago. They scratched one before it even got to Pocono. Um, and it seems like this team's on the way out.
Need to get some flex tape to
Yeah.
seal this thing up right here,
Tape it
man.
back together.
Yep. Oh man, I remember when all the cars they would just be
Hmm.
bright red and they would just all run like Flex Seal, Flex Tape, all those like it was
I mean,
incredible.
they had a strong identity in the Xfinity
Yeah,
series, which it's kind of when you're in the secondary series, it's kind of hard to make it your own. They say names are made here. Well, I mean, this team had a strong visual identity in that series, which is important.
yeah, for real. Yeah, so sad to see. Hopefully, we'll see something good come out of this for JD Motorsports. Hopefully, those employees will find a home somewhere else in the NASCAR world. But let's move on to Pocono from this last weekend, and all three series were running. And we started off with the Truck Series on Friday evening. Christian Eckes won the pole, and we had Corey Heim and Eckes. They were battling it out neck and neck for the stage one finish. Just a great battle between the two guys that we expect to be in the championship for at the end of the year.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's these guys versus the field here,
Hmm.
week in, week out. That's why we're picking them to win the race, either one of them each week.
Yeah, no competition. These two are stout. But Corey Heim, he won stages one and two. Just racking up those playoff points. This kid is good. We don't even have to explain anymore because that was his sixth stage win of the season. That's the most out of any driver in this series. This kid is just good. He's ready to move on from the trucks.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Denny Hamlin made sure to give a shout out to him at the end of his podcast. He made this little comment that you can kind of read into a little bit. He's like, shout out to Corey Heim winning. He's really good. We all know that. So I don't know if there's a wink wink as a part of that statement. Um, but yeah, guy's an animal. And we were talking a lot about Christian Eckes last week about how he's been looking stronger, but Corey Heim seemed to have heard that sentiment and said, hold on, don't forget about me. I'm still
Yep.
me.
Yep, still Heim time for sure. A guy that I thought was going to have a great weekend did not. Raja Karuth, he spun by himself, but he was able to save it, but took away a ton of track position. Just a
Yeah, and these
guy who was
races,
on top of the world at the beginning of the year, and now it's just kind of he's getting into that summer slump now.
yeah, I mean, Spire started off so strong, and when you start out strong like that, the other teams have a rabbit to chase, and then they get better, and suddenly you don't know what to change anymore. And so we're kind of seeing Spire in that stage in the truck series right now, um, where I think they're just lacking a little bit of direction and are trying to play catch up.
Yeah, I really think so. Then we get a rain delay with 9 to go. Go figure. Can't have a NASCAR weekend without a
Oof.
little bit of Mother Nature. We thought that this was going to be the end of it, but they did go racing. And of course, Corey Heim, he pulled away from the field and whooped everyone's ass in this race, swept the stages and won the race. This guy is just fantastic. Just like Denny Hamlin said, this guy is good.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and a great points day when you're trying to get that regular season championship. But I mean, Christian Eckes was right behind him the whole time. Grant Enfinger snuck in a second late, but I mean, Christian Eckes almost had the second to best points day, so he didn't really gain all that much on the points lead. Corey Hine didn't, and that's really all we can take away from this one.
Yep. Gonna be a tight battle with those two till the end of the regular season. That's for sure. So congrats to Corey Heim. Let's move over to Saturday. We had Sheldon Creed winning the pole, showing some speed in that 18 car. That's good to see for the guy who still is looking for that first victory in the Xfinity Series.
He's kind of giving me Michael McDowell vibes, where he's fast on Saturday and then can't. Well, I mean, he also runs on Saturday, but you know what I mean. He's fast in
Yeah.
qualifying, can't put a race together, whether it's his fault or getting caught up in something. Um, so, but I mean, he's competitive and he's got the speed. He's in a Joe Gibbs car. He's doing what he should do in a Joe Gibbs car. That is, besides getting a win every once in a while.
Yep. Yep. We shall see if he does get that first win. But Justin Allgaier wins stage one and then an equipment interference penalty for the 7, which will
Mhm.
send him back. Not what you want to see at a track where track
Oh,
position is just so precious.
and the broadcast was like a little bit shady on. They're like, I don't know if I agree with that call, but I agree with the call. I mean, the tire rolled into the area that the tire changer had to shuffle his position to get his angle of attack to the other car. So I think it was a good penalty, and it's one of those Justin Allgaier mishaps that he seems to be plaguing him all year.
Yeah, it always seems to happen. This guy runs so well, and then something will get in his way.
I mean,
Um,
he's second in points. He's 51 points behind. If a few of these races go a little bit differently, then he may be the points leader.
yeah, it's just crazy what this guy has gone through this year. I mean, you go and look back at Phoenix. He was so close to winning
Hmm.
that race, but then he had the tire go down. Just so many issues where he was in the lead and just could not capture that win. So at least he is getting these stage points. A guy that was coming down here to run on Saturday, William Byron, he had a tire go down early in this race, but he was able to rebound and get back up front in this race.
I mean, what
Uh,
did we say? What did we say about that Hendrick Xfinity car? As long as they can keep it up front, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But tire goes down early now. He's playing from behind.
Yep.
He could
Playing
have
from
he could have won the
behind.
race, and he couldn't do it because of these races are short.
Yep.
Mishaps like this, like equipment interference, speeding, tires going down, it kills you.
You may be fine on Sunday with those, but not on
Hmm.
Saturday. These are way too short. But Cole Custer, he wins stage two. And we have Parker Retzloff. He gets loose into turn one, and he pretty much wrecks all the Alpha Prime cars, the 43, 44, 45. Real unfortunate to see for those guys. They're kind of making a name for themselves right now in the Xfinity series. A lot of, kind of big names. I don't know, Brennan Poole coming up and running a bunch of races for them. That's good to see. Good to see that he's back running in this series, but that's not what he wanted to see at the Tricky Triangle was that 31 slamming into him.
Oh yeah, it's tough when you've got cars running out of the same stable. You're going to have to assume they're going to be running close together, and if you're in the mix with all those other cars, it's maybe going to leave you to be vulnerable to a mid pack Xfinity wreck, and then
Yeah.
turns into an expensive day real fast when it takes out all the cars with a number 40 or so on the side.
Yeah. So bad day for the Alpha Prime guys. Bad day for AJ Allmendinger. He was running up front. He was having a good day running top five, top 10, like we usually used to see with him in the Xfinity series, but spun it. He saved it. He didn't wreck it all, but again, that takes away that precious, precious track position.
Oh yeah, and there's no recovering from it
Nope.
here. That's for sure.
And we get Cole Custer chasing down Justin Allgaier for the lead, but right as Custer takes the lead, our boy SVG
Oh,
gets taken out by Sam Mayer. It sucked because I tweeted right before it happened. I was like, SVG top 10, let's go. And 5 seconds
I
after.
had the same reaction when I was watching. I was like, "Oh my God, he's restarting here 11th. Like that's really good. Let's see if he can hang on." Moves up a couple spots, and then oh my goodness. And we were talking like again with Almendinger with SVG. This racetrack is very weird. It's people are arguing it's a 5-turn road course more than it's a 3-turn triangle oval. Um, and so we thought maybe if Shane's going to be good in an oval, it might be here. And he was figuring it out. He and unfortunately lost out on stage points, finished in the 20s in both stages, and he was looking to have a good finish here. But he just got bulldozed.
Yep. So Sam Mayer just doing Sam Mayer things, but we get treated to a great battle at the end of this thing with Justin Allgaier and Cole Custer. But Cole Custer, he had the faster car. He was able to get around that 7 and get the first win of the year. First win for Ford in the Xfinity
Woof.
Series this year. That took a while, Tom.
Yeah, we were saying it all year about the Cup Series until a month ago or a month and a half ago when Brad broke the streak there, I guess. Now Ford's been killing it, winning 4 of the last 8 races there, but it hasn't trickled down into the Xfinity Series yet. And I know there's less Fords in this
Yeah.
series, and it's not to say they're not running well either. I mean, Cole Custer's leading the points, and he has been for a bit. Um, so good day. It was inevitable almost that Cole Custer would break through here and finally get a win in this series. He's running so strong.
Yeah, good to see for Cole Custer getting that first win of the year for the defending champion. So let's move over to Sunday for the Cup Series race. Ty Gibbs won the pole for this one. He's been on a roll. This guy is just ready to get that first win. He's been showing so much speed in practice and qualifying in these summer months
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I mean, he's always starting out on the front. We talk about how important track position is in these races, and one of these days he's going to be able to hang on to that position. He's got 70 something races under his belt, 70 something starts in the Cup Series already, and that's already an amazing stat for somebody as young as Ty is. Um, and he's going to break through one of these days.
Yep. We keep saying it. Whenever he gets that first win, he is just going to go
Yeah,
on a tear.
we're waiting for something to click with him, and once it clicks, I think you're looking at another 3, 4 wins. I mean, all these guys, each the win leaders are tied in a 4-way tie right now with Bell, Byron, Hamlin and Larson all at 3 wins. I think once Ty Gibbs figures out how to finish a race and they can put together a strong race start to finish, he could rattle off 3, 4 wins in a season easy.
Oh yeah, I really think so. I think he really could have won Pocono this past weekend. But we
Yeah,
will get into
we'll get to it later.
the issues because we're talking about him leading the field to green right here. But a guy who did have early issues, the birthday boy today, Noah Gregson, knocked out of this one, got loose into turn one and just backed it up into the wall. So hopefully Noah's recovering at home, got his feet up and enjoying his birthday today. So happy birthday, Noah Gregson. I know it's not the way you wanted to be wished happy birthday with talking about your wreck, but that's gonna happen, man. That's Pocono. It's tricky triangle.
Just got loose, and we know that this track is tough to drive. I mean, your car's set up for 3 different, very different corners. So it had to happen to somebody. It happened a few times to different guys all day, but yeah, unfortunate to see. He had a really strong run going just throughout the past few races. He's
Yeah.
just really consistent. You don't see this out of the most recent Noah Gregson.
Yeah, him and Josh Berry. I mean, Josh Berry, he was top
Hmm.
five for pretty much most of this race here. This guy is just proving that he belongs in this
Yeah,
series.
that Rodney Childers man knows, even if Josh Berry falls behind, has a tire go down or something, he was able to get him back into the right positions and put him right back in the top 10. Uh,
You just
yeah, it's
wish
really,
that
yeah.
Rodney was going over to Wood
Hmm.
Brothers. Yeah, Rodney Childers. I mean, I'm praying for him
I
when
wonder
that
why
seven car.
the argument there is that, like, oh, Penske want to bring in their own people. Why wouldn't Penske want to bring in Rodney Childers? That doesn't make much sense,
Yeah,
but
because things are going very well with that 21 right now.
hmm,
Like she was.
yeah, well,
Yeah, well, that's just Penske being Penske, I guess. So moving on with this one, we got Martin Truex Jr. winning stage one, and then Ross Chastain's himself, smacks the wall after blowing a tire, ending his day early in that Busch Light Peach Chevrolet.
this has huge points implications that we'll get to towards the end of the race.
Yeah,
But I mean,
big time.
he's sitting there without a win. He's inside the playoff bubble. But to be the second car to exit this race, that's not a good points day at
Yeah.
all. At all.
Yeah, but who really did have a good points day? Denny Hamlin. He won stage two. And believe it or not, that was his first stage win at Pocono Raceway. When they said that on the broadcast, I was like, that is so hard to believe. The guy that has 7 wins at this track and he has not won a stage since 2017. That's crazy.
I'd like to refute that stat because stage 3 is still a stage technically. So
I
you win the race, you win stage 3. Thank you.
guess
Thank
so.
you.
All right. All right.
Thank you for coming to my semantics talk.
There you go. And Todd Gilliland, he had a mechanical failure, put him in the wall, took him out of contention. We know I think before that happened, he was 20th in the playoff standings. Well, where's he at right
He's
now,
still
Tom?
sitting 20th now.
Okay,
So he's 121 points out. He's got to win.
he's got to win, but still respectful year for that 38. This guy is just blowing it out of the water. He was running last year. They took him out of the car full time and had other guys running that car for him. So really cool to see him redeem himself this year and being able to run
Oh
a
yeah.
top 20 in the standings.
I mean, I remember the silly season conversation last year about how could front row let Zane Smith go for somebody like Todd Gill, and it didn't make much sense. And front row just didn't have the cars. Now, ironically, Zane Smith could be a top contender to take over the third front row car. So they basically loaned the driver away for a year and then had him develop just to get him back for almost nothing. Um, so
Be smart.
be some big brain moves for front row here. But yeah, I mean he's been quietly consistent all year, but he unfortunately he's got that front row mindset where they gotta just go out and send it every year. Where I feel like if they took the idea that they could just be fast all year and run more consistently, they'd be right up there in points with Ross Chastain or Chris Buescher.
Yeah. I really believe so. Yeah, because we've seen Michael McDowell this year, man. He's just been sending
Mhm.
it and making some really bad blocks that took away
Right.
wins from himself. Could have won Talladega.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
he's 2 spots behind. Josh Berry's sitting between um, Todd Gillen and Mike McDowell in points. Todd Gillen's 20th, Mike McDowell's 22. If
okay.
that tells you anything about the primary driver over there at front row.
Pretty pretty crazy to
Interesting.
see. Yeah,
Interesting.
pretty interesting, exactly. So we have speeding penalties for Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott,
Woof.
Daniel Suarez, and Ty Gibbs, all guys who are having a pretty damn good day up front. Now get to restart in the back.
Chase Elliott was the fastest car. Chase Elliott should have won this race, and this absolutely killed it.
Yep.
And yes, yes, if I can jump ahead real quick, he finishes in the top 10. He finishes ninth. But if he doesn't have to go restart in the back, where could he have chased down the eventual winner here?
Yeah.
Um, really unfortunate for them. Um, and like we said, Ty Gibbs, that's just one of those mistakes that is going to stop him from making that snap and that click to win a race. Um, Unfortunately, following this, he blows up and doesn't get the chance anyway. And we had that horrible visual and of the water and the oil coming out of the pipes, and they say it's chocolate milk. Like, ugh, disgusting. Um, but yeah, these are the type of mistakes that'll lose you races and whatnot.
Yeah, really is. Just can't be speeding on pit
Also,
road.
Chase Elliott's first speeding penalty in 80 something races, that's
It's
impressive.
impressive. Yeah.
That's very impressive. And that's what Chase Elliott. I say Chase Elliott is the most boring driver in the garage, but that means he is one of the most consistent drivers in the garage and just quiet and gets to work and executes.
Yep.
Um, and it seems like that they nabbed 4 drivers in the same section, and it was a very tiny section at pit road. Could have been just a weird timing glitch, for all
Yeah.
we know. So maybe he didn't even actually speed all of those guys.
Yeah. Who knows? But either way, they got nabbed. So, Tom, you were just saying Chase Elliott, very, smart driver, very consistent.
Mhm.
Can't say the same about this next guy, your friend, Corey LaJoie. I'm just gonna have you take it here from here, Tom. So Corey LaJoie spins Kyle Busch after Kyle Busch throws a block, not even a bad block. And then Corey LaJoie said, Nope, see you later, buddy. Wrecks the 8 and 3 to 4 other cars in there as well. So take
I
it away, bud.
I don't have much to say on this. It's clear as day. Kyle throws a block, but also he's trying to be able to see going into turn one. Um, but if you look at the multiple views we have of this wreck, he makes one move. We talk about, well, in other motorsports, um, they talk about moving under braking and blocking, and you can't weave down the straights and whatnot. Um, it's a safety issue, and it's you got to give people a chance to race. And this, to me, was a quality. He made one move, and he was going to hold that line, and he held that line straight as an arrow. And Corey LaJoie needs to lift or commit. He can't just decide, well, I actually need to be in that lane, so fuck you. Excuse me. Um, and I did immediately also think of Darlington 2021 when Kyle Busch misjudged re-entering the line, trying to tuck in behind Chase Elliott, and absolutely just left reared him down the track. Um, but what I don't like about those Kyle Busch was very remorseful immediately. And the radio that they played after Corey LaJoie did that is like, well, he deserved it. And so I guess and it wasn't Corey LaJoie who said it, but the attitude that crew has towards the 6 cars that also got junked through there was, it's just awful. Cavalier, wrong. I don't think we're going to see anything come down from NASCAR about this. I don't think they're going to see it as egregious or on purpose, but it's the epitome of the season Kyle Busch is having, and we saw it in his post race interview. He comes out, he's so dejected at this point, he can't even fathom. I mean, he sounded lighthearted at the end of it. He's like, "What?" His subtext is like, "What else do I have to do here?" I mean, his car was falling apart on the grid. They had to go back to the garage, take it apart before the race. He had a steering issue all weekend, and he's running in the back, not having fun. And then at the end, he's running at 15th and gets junked in front of the field. And I'm sure also taking those hits isn't fun either. Getting run over and spinning in front of the field, knowing you're just going to get run over. It's just been an abysmal season. And even when you do stuff right, it goes wrong. And when you do stuff wrong, it goes more wrong. So yeah, I'm pissed at Corey Lajoie, pissed at his attitude that he had on the radio and his interviews after the race.
He's like, he doesn't. I'm not gonna say sorry. Like, dude, what a
No,
fucking dick.
no, but it's just as a Kyle Busch fan, this is just not what I'm used to seeing, and for this long too. We've had bad stretches. I mean, we had 2018 or 2019. No, not whenever he ran the Skittle Zombies car, and he had one
That
race
was
win that
2020.
year, 2020. Even then, he was still up there battling for the lead. I have never seen this Kyle Busch ever. And I don't think it's Kyle Busch is the issue. Kyle Busch is a wheelman. Um, it's just that RCR is so disheveled, and it's not going to get better. They got rid of their
No.
competition director. Now they're going to be scrambling, and there's no way that Kyle Busch wins a race this year on speed. He will
No.
have to luck into it, make a strategy call, um, and that just it breaks my heart because you expect Kyle Busch, as a Kyle Busch fan, as somebody who's watched him his whole career, to go out there and compete and find a way. But it's impossible for him to find a way with how they're showing up at the track.
Yeah. Used to be able to compete for a win at every single track that we go to when he was with that Joe Gibbs team, and now,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even last year it looked like he could too, but something happened this year.
Yeah,
The
somewhere
wheels
around the All-Star
fell
break,
off.
um, it's 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 just so disappointing, and it's sad.
Yeah.
And there's not much to do about it. You're kind of stuck in your way. Chevy can't change the car until next year. Um, RCR, ECR can't really make too many wholesale changes because the type of car we have. I mean, if we're fabricating our own cars again, and they may be able to find something to find speed, but now NASCAR has these Walmart Lego cars, and you show up and race what you got, and they missed the beginning of the year, and they haven't been able to recover.
Yeah. Been a rough go of it for the RCR crew, but man, I just
I,
want to
I'm
talk about.
I'm cracking up here because there's the video, somebody sunk up the video of Josh Berry going through that crash with his spotter audio, and the spotter, as he's driving into the wreck, he goes, "Sliding through the grass, they're going to come up and clean everybody's clock." And then Josh Berry drives right through it. Just miss it. Like Josh Berry, Kyle Busch came up right in front, and Josh Berry went underneath him or something. But just the way he said it, the way he's like, he's gonna come up and clean everybody's clock. That cracked me up a little bit. Um, yeah,
Yeah, but great avoidance there for
yeah,
Josh Berry. My
and for
goodness.
Carson Hocevar too, he sent that thing into a 45-degree drift to miss getting run over by everybody. So lots of good driving and lots of just unfortunate victims of Corey LaJoie here. And
That's what I mostly want to focus on is just Corey LaJoie. We've said this for weeks now because this guy has just been on a roll of just making himself look like the biggest dipshit in the NASCAR Cup Series. But what does this guy do? Seriously, Corey, I feel like I'm gonna go on a Jimmy Spencer run right here. Someone needs to give me a goddamn cigar over here. What does Corey LaJoie do? This is the only driver in the Cup Series that has never won a Truck Series race or an Xfinity Series race. He's won fucking two ARCA races. Congratulations, man. But no way this guy deserves to be in the Cup Series anymore. We need to give this guy the goddamn Haley Deegan treatment and just kick him out now because he's just making an ass of himself. Spun out by himself in Chicago. He's he just every single goddamn week just making himself look like a bigger idiot than he could, and I didn't think that was possible.
It's so telling the mindset of this team when Corey LaJoie was probably the only driver that was willing to drive for Spire a few years ago. And they've built up, they've got big investors, they've built up, they've got crews and talent now and sponsors. And Corey LaJoie, I think they feel a little bit of a sentimental value with Corey. He's been their guy. I mean, Corey was helping build the cars out of that shop. Um, I'm sure Corey is a great cheerleader for Spire. I'm sure he's a great asset to them in some capacity. But now that you're bringing in Rodney Childers and you have all these investors and you have all these crew and people depending on you to go out on the racetrack and get results and you can't get it done. I mean, I think Corey LaJoie is going to be on the hottest of hot seats um, going forward. I think he'll drive that car again next year, but I don't think we'll see him driving that car in 2026.
It's
It wouldn't make
just
sense unless he can turn around in 2025, unless Childers can find a way. It's just again, it's almost like the team was using a driver that it could afford and was willing to go start and park that car. And now that's not a start and park team anymore, but the driver is still a start and park driver.
yeah.
Um,
And
and it's time for Spire to grow up and move on. It's time for Corey to understand that he needs to maybe step aside. I mean, I'm sure the organization's still great. Maybe he can take an administrative role, kind of like we're begging Austin Dillon to do. Um, but yeah, it's becoming apparent. And again, I was defending Corey LaJoie maybe 4 weeks ago on this show, saying like, well, the team's not great. They're obviously making moves to make the team great, and Corey does not seem to be improving along in the
no.
same trajectory as the rest of Spire Motorsports.
Dude, the day I stopped defending Corey LaJoie was when I saw him with my own two eyes when I was down in St. Louis and he was driving that nine car for a suspended Chase Elliott, and he was getting outrun by his own race car in the seven by a guy who was, I think, was making his first Cup Series start, Carson Hocevar, getting
Mm-hmm.
outrun by him. That I was like, okay, this guy is not it. He cannot drive in a goddamn Hendrick car. He cannot do it at all. We've seen so many guys step into these cars and just look fantastic. Noah Gregson stepped into a Hendrick car, looked good. Josh Berry. It's
Look at Justin Allgaier at the Coke 600.
yeah. And Corey LaJoie has been around in the sport for a long time, and it just seems like he just
Mm-hmm.
cannot
I mean,
do it.
Justin at the Coke 600 got almost lapped in the first stage. They made a little bit of adjustment on that car, and he figured it out. And he was driving back towards the front when the rain came. Corey LaJoie is never going to be able to do that.
No,
Never.
there's no way in hell. He's really only there because he's one of the most popular drivers, which I don't really understand. He's probably because of his
I think
Stacking
that's on
Pennies
the decline.
podcast.
I think that's
It's
on the
well, yeah,
decline.
now it's on the decline because most of NASCAR fandom, from what I've seen from the comments the past day and a half, have all been pretty negative about him. So, was one of the
Well,
most popular
and that's
guys.
the problem. He was a lovable back marker. He wasn't getting in anybody's way. But now that these cars are finding speed, it's either he's up there because he's finding speed and he's making mistakes because he's not used to being up there, or you're like, wow, the 77 is running well. And the 70, even the 71, I mean, Zane Smith has been on a good run over the past few weeks, and the seven's not there anymore.
Yep.
And you're like, your teammates are running well. You guys have a lot more money. You guys have a lot more backing. What gives?
Yeah. What gives? But goddamn, died in 2020, back in 2024. Welcome back, Matt Benedetto. Because I mean, think about it, man. This guy was one of the most popular guys, and now everyone just does
I
not
thought
like him.
I thought you were suggesting put Matt DiBenedetto in the seven, and I was It's not
He,
going to get any better.
I
No,
think
no,
he
that's.
would do better. Matty D's been closer to getting multiple wins than Corey
I don't
LaJoie.
want.
I mean, we
I
don't
don't
need
want
to
to have
talk
to
about the
talk
battle
about
of,
Matt DiBenedetto again.
yeah, we don't
I
need to
don't want to
talk
see
about the
him ever
battle of the
again.
mid right here.
No,
Yeah,
no.
so Corey LaJoie, he just
Ugh. Yeah,
gotta hang
it's
it up,
just
buddy. It's over.
again, and he's not just doing it to himself. He's junking 5, 6 other cars now, and again,
Almost
the
weekly.
Kyle Busch thing is personal to me, but that could have been anybody's. I mean, that was again immediately following those speeding penalties. That could have been Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott or Ty Gibbs. I mean, they all could have been seriously caught up in that wreck, having to
Yeah.
start back there, which is again why you don't speed on pit road, especially under caution.
Yeah.
But also, it could have been any of these drivers, and they should be paying a lot more attention when they're going around the 7, giving them a lot of room.
Need to put some caution tape around that car.
Put the rookie stripes back on his bumper.
Oh man, I did put a freaking traffic cone on top of the car or something. It's getting ridiculous.
Ugh.
But moving on, Tom, you were mentioning about the about Ty Gibbs' car. He was leaking fluid, caused a caution, fluid all over the track.
I was
Um,
yelling at the TV for them to
Took him
throw
a
the
while.
caution. I was like, they show the shot of that car spitting oil, and they're about to fly down into one of the fastest corner entrances in the world. We were about to have Daytona with the rain all over again. Like, I was like, throw the caution. What do you do? I just saw that liquid with my own 2 eyes spitting out of there. That's got to be down in turn 1 somewhere. He wasn't off the track.
Yeah.
So, like, they did throw the caution, but it was incredibly late.
Yeah, I was very
Ugh.
surprised it took them that long, but
Ugh.
props to the camera guy that got the
Mm-hmm.
shot of all the fluid leaking out of the side of the 54 there. That looked gross, but it looked pretty cool too.
And yeah, and somebody put Steve Letarte or Rick Allen or somebody, whoever said it, in timeout for saying it looked like chocolate milk. Disgusting. Would you like to drink some 250-degree chocolate milk?
I think our boy NASCAR Chasm said it best. It said like we're almost home, and then Chad says not gonna make it too many Jaeger shots, and then yep.
Oh,
And
oh,
I was like, oh,
disgusting.
kind of perfect.
Disgusting.
Shout out NASCAR Chasm. We forgot to say it last week, but hung out with him for the first time in Chicago last week. It was awesome.
I
Did
finally
talk
met
to
my
him.
friend. Met
Yeah.
my friend after a year and 8 days.
I did talk to him about wanting to come on the show, and he said he'd love to. So just got to answer my DM, Chasm.
Whoa.
Whoa. All right. Yeah. I did my see the show really wants you to come
Yeah,
on.
right.
I
Right.
think I did a thumbs up, and it was
I
like
don't know. I'm
I don't know
gonna
what I did. That was
I,
cool.
I'm gonna keep my hands below my screen here because I don't want that to happen to me. It
You
looks
don't want
scary.
fireworks?
No.
All right, so after the caution for Gibbs leaking fluid, Ryan
Mhm.
Blaney, he just ran away on this restart. And man, he looked good. He was the fastest car of the day on Sunday, and he wins at Pocono, capturing the win where he got his first back in 2017. So cool to see him do it. His fiance's family was all there too, so he got to celebrate with them in Victory Lane. But Ryan
I
Blaney,
guess
now that's
Blaney
2 wins for him.
needs to bring his or his just some kind of family members to the track
Yeah, it
because
works.
that seems to be the magic bullet there. Um, yeah, I mean this kind of comes back to the end of stage 2, and Denny Hamlin was out to a pretty big lead, so only a few guys could short pit the stage, and it got Blaney the track position that he needed. Um, and ultimately won him the race. He was just able to drive away, manage the gap. Um, Denny Hamlin made a valiant effort to try to chase him down, but Blaney, again, out in the clean air, was able to manage. And then when he felt Denny start to get closer, he picked it up a little bit, and that gap never really changed after
Yeah,
a couple laps after Denny made that incredible pass around Bowman. Around the outside, turn 3 was fantastic.
yeah. I think that's what kind of killed him a little bit too, was racing Bowman right there, because
Mhm.
definitely killed his tires,
Right.
because you could just see when he was trying to reach Blaney, just
Yeah,
couldn't. And like you
Denny.
said, Blaney was probably saving a little bit too.
Mhm.
And then once he saw the 11, he just picked it right back up. And I will say
Right.
these cautions at the end of this race killed the strategy
Yes.
for this
Yes.
race. We had so many different pit strategies, fuel strategies going on throughout this race. It was going to be an awesome way to finish this race, but nope, got ruined by all these different cautions. Thanks, Corey.
NBC did an incredible job of laying out the strategy and kind of just explaining what they're thinking, but then kind of letting you take in and make your own understanding of what it meant. But they're like, here's here's the front end of the window, here's the back end of the window. All these guys are going to have to either pit here or maybe they'll pit later. The single lug cars and how much more time it takes to fuel them versus change the tires now is playing a huge role at tracks like this, which is really fascinating to kind of see him play out and whatnot. But I mean, Denny Hamlin decided to take one playoff point and 10 series points to as a guarantee when he could, not knowing. I mean, there's no guarantee that after stage 2, if he pits, that he's going to win the race. So take the sure thing. I think that's a good idea. I think Denny Hamlin needs to do that more. And so I think that was a good call overall. And he still finishes second, which is a solid day. Um, so yeah, overall, I mean, I like the strategy races. I don't know about you, but after the chaos we've seen for the past few weeks, it was good to kind of see a more straightforward race and kind of see the fastest guys rise to the top and whatnot.
Yeah, it really was. Always gonna have a few of those
Mhm.
kind of dipshit wrecks, just like the Corey Lajoie one, where you're gonna take out 3, 4 guys that are looking to have a great day, but Blaney, he was the fastest of the day, and he was able to capture that win at Pocono. And going back on talking about the fuel strategy with NBC, that's why I love having Steve Letarte on this broadcast, having a crew chief on here. He knows
Mhm.
everything that's going on, everything that's going through these crew chiefs' heads, and how they're going to try and win this race. So amazing to have him on. I love NBC. After Indy, we are gonna have Lay Diffie on the broadcast. I'm very, very excited for him. Just did his last
Ah,
IndyCar race. I'm sure that's his last IndyCar
he's
race ever since they're going to Fox.
yeah. I mean, Lee
And
Diffany is so passionate about the sport. He's so energetic. Everybody's like, he's foreign. He doesn't know what he's talking. It's like, come on, guys. Anything that Lee Diffie touches is gold. Watch him during the Olympics. I know you guys are going to watch the Olympics. Watch him during the Olympics. Anything he touches, he's going to bring. He's going to bring all that energy, that knowledge, that passion. He's going to bring that all to NASCAR, and we're grateful for it. We're going to lose Rick Allen, maybe, which is tough because Rick Allen fits very well into this booth, which is one thing I'm a little worried about. How's the chemistry going to be between Lee and Steve and Jeff? Because Rick Allen has good chemistry with those guys too. So we'll have to see how it evolves and whatnot. But overall, excited to see what Lee can bring to the booth.
yeah, absolutely. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to be making our picks for Indianapolis this weekend. So, stay tuned. Guys, welcome back. We are going to be making our predictions for Indianapolis this weekend. Trucks are at IRP, the famous short track in Indianapolis. Love it that they're back there. in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series are running at the famous 2.5 Brickyard Oval. We are done with the joke of a road course, and we're finally on the infamous oval.
The road course was a good experiment. It was necessary to try. But yes, go back to the oval, 100%.
Go back to the roots. Go back to the historic racing
It's a
service.
crown jewel, and it should have never been taken away, even if it had lost its luster. It's still an important racetrack in motorsports history, and we should have never strayed away from it.
No. Never should have, but let's talk trucks at IRP on Friday. We got the T-Sport 200, 137 miles, 200 laps. Stages 1 and 2 will be 60 laps each, and the final will be 80 laps. Last year's winner, we had Ty Majeski. He is the master at these short tracks. Most manufacturer wins, Chevrolet tops the charts with 10 wins. Some notables we got in this one: William Sawalich, he'll be in the 1 for Tricon. Marco Andretti will be in the 04 for Roper Racing. Sammy Smith in the 7 for Spire Motorsports. Johnny Sauter is coming back, veteran in this series. He will be in the 16 for Hattori Racing. Connor Daly will be in the 44 for Nice. And Ross Chastain will be in that 45 for Nice Motorsports. So, Tom, we got a lot of heavy hitters coming into this one. We got a few IndyCar guys as well that want to come down here and make a name for themselves. But who do you see crossing the finish line first and making their way into victory lane at IRP on Friday?
Well, I mean, as you're going through that list of notables, it just shows that people want to race in Indianapolis, even if it's not the big speedway in Speedway Indiana. I mean, racers want to win in places where racing is important, and Indianapolis racing is very important. All that to be said, you called him the short track king. He doesn't have a win yet this season, but he is sitting 4th in the regular season standings. Ty Majeski always seems to find himself at the front at these shorter ovals, and he won here last year. I think he does it again.
Yeah, fantastic pick. I mean, that guy is always a threat when we come to tracks like this. But I gotta go with the guy. We either pick Corey Heim or Christian Eckes every single week, and I feel like we just gotta keep going with the theme because these two guys are pretty damn good in these trucks. I'm going with Christian Eckes. Corey Heim won last week, and Eckes is definitely hungry for another one. He wants to keep fighting for that regular season title with him. So I'm gonna go Mr. Christian Eckes, gonna pull that Napa machine into victory lane.
Yeah, I mean, Christian and Corey Heim are going to try to match each other blow for blow. And I say my pick's sitting 4th in points. He's 128 points out. Second is 113 points behind. It is a 2-horse race here. And yeah, I guess we'll leave. Nick can pick Corey Heim this week. We'll just give that one to him. But yeah, I mean, these guys are the cream of the crop here, and they don't have much competition. So one of us has to pick them every week, and we're not going to stop because we're trying to keep it real here, and we're trying to give you guys ideas of who we think can genuinely win these races. And right now, there's not many others than Corey Heim and Christian Eckes.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. Let's move over to Saturday for the Xfinity Series race. We have the Pennzoil 250, 250 miles, 100 laps around the Brickyard Oval. Stages 1 and 2 will be 30 laps each, and the final will be 40. The last oval winner here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, last time they ran on the oval with the Xfinity Series was 2019. Tom, do you remember who won that race?
Was it Kyle Busch?
It was Kyle Busch. I was there to see him win yet again
Excellent.
in an
Excellent.
Xfinity Series race. He was running that Combos car. That was a pretty sweet car
Ooh.
that he was running. But so yeah, it was Kyle Busch, but he is not running in the Xfinity Series race this year. We do have some notables though. Josh Berry, once again, going to be in that 15 for AM Racing. Joe Graff Jr. Don't know how they keep getting this guy into this goddamn car. He will be in the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing.
He's got that shoe
money.
money.
Dude, he's got that. Yeah,
If you've
red
got
boot
money to
money.
buy those all those sneakers, and you've got money to pay your way into Joe Gibbs Racing. So
Exactly. Eric Almirola will be in the 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Hopefully he
welcome
doesn't
back.
get suspended. Keep your hands off of Bubba Wallace, my friend.
Yeah, it is Monday. It's competition meeting day, so
So who knows what's going on right now over in the Toyota shop right now. But Connor Daly, he will also be in the Xfinity Series race. He'll be
good for
running.
Connor. Good for
Yeah,
Connor.
I'm excited. He's a big name in the IndyCar series, and he wants to go to Indianapolis with the stock car guys and turn some heads. So he'll be in the 26 for Sam Hunt Racing. Can't wait to see him wheel it around there. And IRP. I love Connor Daly in the IndyCar series. But I got to go with a guy that has a ton of experience down here in the Xfinity series. He ran this track once in these cars. I'm going to go with last week's winner, Mr. Cole Custer. We know when he gets a win, he's just going to start taping them off. This guy is pretty damn good in this Ford Mustang, and I think he's going to get it done at the Brickyard. It takes veteran status to win here, one of the toughest tracks that we go to, and we haven't raced here in these cars in over 5 years. Give me a veteran. Give me Cole Custer.
Oh yeah, I mean that's for sure. And like we have these guys that they're running on a racetrack that is very similar to what we ran last week. I mean, one of the corners at Pocono is modeled after one of Indy's corners.
Yep.
Flat, big, long racetrack, drafting, air blocking, and all that. So no problems with you picking a guy to go back to back. He showed he can do it at Pocono. He should be able to do it again at Indy.
Yeah. So who do
Um,
you have going to victory lane on Saturday?
for me, he's been kind of quiet in the past couple weeks, but no shortage of controversy for this guy. But he was also in the mix there in Pocono last week, and I'm going to go with the 21 of Austin Hill. I'm not endorsing Austin Hill. I think he can do it, and it's about time for Austin Hill to show up and win again.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy that can win at super speedway tracks, and technically Indianapolis is a
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote super speedway, may not run like one, but it is a big ass track, and he knows how to win at big ass tracks. So smart
And
pick there, man. That's for sure.
and like you said, it comes with experience. We haven't had too many guys that have run here because it's been a while. But Austin Hill knows. I can't remember off the top of my head if where Austin Hill was running in 2019. Um, but
Might have
he
been
knows he knows
Hattori.
how to he knows how to get around these tracks. He knows the cars. He knows what he needs to do in these big aero tracks. And so that's why I'm leaning towards the 21 this weekend.
Okay. Trying to think of where Austin Hill was in 20. I want to say he was in the truck series. Let's see. Austin Hill made his first truck series start. Yep, 2019 was his rookie year, so he's
Okay.
never ran the Indy
Well,
Oval, but
interesting.
the
But
guy
I
is
still think he
good.
has enough experience in the Xfinity series to overcome that.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Well, let's move on to Sunday for the Brickyard 400. Man, I am so excited for this weekend. My first time back at Indy in 2 years. We didn't go last year for the road course. But a few of us are going to be out there camping. It's going to be a good time. Cannot
Fantastic.
wait to see the Brickyard Oval back in shape. Brickyard 400, everybody. 400 miles, 160 laps. Stages 1 and 2 are 50 laps each, and the final will be 60 laps. The last oval winner here was Kevin Harvick in 2020. He won back-to-back years. Some notables in this one. Jimmy Johnson, he will be in the 84 for Legacy Motor Club. AJ Allmendinger will be in the 16 for Colleague Racing. And Ty Dillon making a rare appearance in the Cup Series for RCR. He's going to be running that 33 for them. He has not ran a Cup Series race for his grandfather's team since 2015. We know he had that Xfinity Series run with them as well. But pretty crazy to see, they're already struggling this year, and now they want to open up a third car for Indy and bring in Pop's grandson. So there's going to be two Dillon brothers that are going to be teammates with the legendary Kyle Busch. Oh boy. Oh no, man, I totally agree. Yeah, well said.
That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, no, well said.
Hmm.
But Tom, who do you have going to victory lane in Speedway, Indiana on Sunday?
Uh, he's fastest in practice last week at Pocono, and I believe he's won here at the Brickyard before. I know Denny Hamlin wants this win. It's the only jewel he says he's missing from his crown, but he's going to have to wait another year before he gets it. Because I think his teammate Martin Truex Jr. will go and take the win here on the return of the Oval and get his first win of the season.
Truex has not won at Indy, but I
No,
know that's crazy to say, man.
he's always up front. I mean, I remember him and Kyle battling. I mean, maybe that's Kyle won 2 years in a row. Maybe that's one of the years I thought Truex had won.
Well,
I thought he won here in the 78 for some reason.
no, but
Uh,
the only highlight I remember of Truex at Indy is when him and Kyle got collected
oh,
together in the
that was a
turn
big
one.
fireball too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
that
one of
was
the
wild.
that's one of
I,
those wrecks that shows up in compilations.
that entire race was just insane. I remember I was at a Cubs game
Oh,
during that and I recorded. I came back and holy crap, we had the big pile up. Jimmy Johnson sent it into turn three and took out what was it Brad Keselowski and someone else,
yeah.
and Trevor Bayne got wrecked by Kurt Busch, and then Casey
Was that the
Kane.
one where Kurt Busch like had that driver's eye cam and drove through the wreck and just
I
on the
believe
front stretch
that was the next
next
year
year?
because
This
that
this
was his first year with Ganassi.
for everybody shitting on this track and this oval track with these cup car, we have a lot of good memories. I mean,
Dude.
they all happen to do with wrecks and whatnot. Oh, you can't pass, but I mean, these cars belong in the oval. We've said it a billion times and whatnot. But no, that's really. I mean, my first Cup Series race was the Brickyard, which is funny because I grew up 15 minutes away from the racetrack at Joliet, and we never went out to Cup races. We went out to Bush races because they were a whole lot cheaper. Uh, and that's where I fell in love with Kyle Busch. But yeah, our first Cup Series race, I saw one of the most unique races in Cup Series history because you know who won that race? It was his
I
only
do.
one.
I do.
It was
Mr.
his
Paul
only
Menard.
one. Paul Menard, 2011 Brickyard champion.
Oh man,
So
that's
so that
crazy.
was, and I so want to go back one day because now I know a whole lot more than I did when I was that age, 12, 13, whatever it was. So yeah, I'd love to go back out to that track too. But no, all that to say, Martin Truex, it's his time to get a win. They've been so consistent, so close, and he belongs on this list of winners here.
Yeah, totally agree. Veteran driver. He's been in here for such a long time. Very surprising he has not won at the Brickyard, but can definitely see him getting it done. I am also going with a veteran driver. You know what? I can't think. Has Brad Keselowski won at Indy? I feel like he
I don't,
has.
I don't know. I don't
I
think
don't.
so. Racing Reference, sponsor me,
Brad
please.
Keselowski won the 2018. Yep. Yeah, 2018.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, Brad Keselowski did win the 2018 Brickyard 400, and this guy, he's been on a roll ever since he won that Darlington race a few months ago, and Ford has been on a goddamn roll too. So Brad Keselowski, he is happy to be back at the Indy Oval, and I think he's going to be a lot happier when he's in victory lane celebrating with his boys.
Yeah, that victory lane now even more iconic than it has been with the whole lift and whatnot, and getting
Yeah.
your car lifted up into victory lane. So that'll be a cool image to see on Sunday. Um, but yeah, I don't hate that pick either. I hate the driver, but I don't hate the pick.
Oh, you
Um,
don't hate him. Come
no,
on.
again, he was so nice when I met him. He was so nice and cool, and it's like,
And you're like, why?
why'd you have to be so cool, Brad? What, just let me hate you.
Hey man, at
Um,
least the first time I met Kyle Busch, he was a prick to me, and I was like, yeah, that's actually how he is. Cool. He's not a fake guy. All right.
yeah, yeah. But no, for this race, I think we look to just see some of the top finishers from last week are going to be here again. Chevy has been on a fall recently. I mean, Ford's been really tearing it up, winning half of the last 8 races, if you include the All Star race. It's been like every other race for the last 5 races have been Ford wins.
Hmm.
So that's really interesting to see. I mean, we were giving Ford so much of a hard time for the start of their season, but they've finally figured out their car and they're showing up. Versus Chevy's kind of started off strong, and kind of like we were saying with the Spire trucks earlier in the show, I think Chevy started off so strong they're not quite sure where they need to improve on now that we're this far into the season. Um, so that's just going to be something interesting to watch going forward. I'm sure Rick Hendrick is going to show up with 4 ponies here and absolutely
Yeah.
rip around this track. So any of those guys could come out and win. I mean, Alex Bowman finishes 3rd here at Pocono. He won at Chicago. Like, he's momentum is real. He's got his confidence back. I think he could be a contender. Um,
Oh, without a doubt.
yeah.
Bowman is scaring me right now, man, because
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, once he got that win and he just looked good all day at Indianapolis. So, all right,
And that's
Pocono, I
and
should
that's
mean.
that's that's what we think. I mean, like I said, this track is so prestigious and so special. These teams are going to show up with the very best of the best, pull out all the stops. This isn't a normal race. This is a crown jewel. This is very important. And these teams are going to treat it as such. So I think we're going to be in for a treat. Do I think this is going to race like a D shaped oval, like we have our mile and a half? No. I think we're going to see a hybrid of Phoenix and New Hampshire and Pocono. We're going to see fuel strategy. We're going to see tough passing, aero blocking. I think we're going to see Corey Lajoie self spin in turn 2.
Not
But
if
I still
Kyle
think
gets, man, Kyle Busch was way too calm in that interview. I'm like, man, he has something up his sleeve for that 7 team.
I just frankly I don't think Kyle thinks it's worth it. And I don't think Kyle's even going to give his energy. He knows that his energy is going to be better spent at the shop trying to figure out what happens, or racing with his son at the dirt track somewhere.
Or
He's
on a driver that actually
I think he
is worth
legitimately
something.
in his interview he was so hard to read there, but I think in his interview he's legitimately already over it, and he's like, "This is just the season I'm having, and I'm not going to waste energy on this."
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man. I would not count out Rowdy, this guy. We've seen him do some crazy shit, and
I just
I
hope
feel
he
like
doesn't get himself into trouble. Indy is fast and dangerous, so don't want to see
got
him do anything that will put anybody else in jeopardy on
yeah.
purpose.
Don't want to pull a Ron Hornaday, that's for sure.
No, no, you don't want to pull a Corey LaJoy either.
Yeah, no kidding. All right,
So
well,
the points here, I want to
yeah.
take a second because we saw Ross Chastain crash out of Pocono and finish 35th, and that really zipped up. We were saying that this bubble slot was almost done. It was going to be having to win and get in, but Bubba getting a top 10 and Ross getting a top 35 is tough, and it put him within 25, 27 points of the cut line.
Hmm.
And Bubba overcame a larger deficit in less races. So I guess this fight is not over here at the bubble.
I would
And
not
that's
say it is.
that's going to be very interesting to watch. And then also at the top end, Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, they swapped places again. Chase Elliott is the points leader once again. And again, if Kyle Larson runs the 600, this is a non-starter. Kyle Larson's 60 points ahead, but he's not. So, and Tyler Reddick quietly lurking there in third, 15 points back, could very well come out of nowhere and steal the regular season championship. So
Yeah.
as we get down to the final races, I think there's 6 left. After Indy, I think we go to the Olympic break and take 2 weeks off. Who knows? I think those races after the Olympic break will be very interesting. Everybody's going to be rested and refreshed. Um, and on both ends of the points, from the top to 16th place, we're going to see some changes.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, it's crazy. Only 3 points separate Chase Elliott and Kyle
Mm-hmm.
Larson.
And it's 20 points to fourth.
Yeah, so it is so damn tight. All 4 of these drivers have just been so consistent this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to say that with Kyle Larson because we call him checkers or wreckers, but he's second in points right now.
And he skipped a race. That's the
Yeah,
other
and
thing.
he
You
skipped
you
a
look down
race.
you look down starts and everybody's at 21 starts and he's at 20 and he's like he shouldn't be there where he is. He and Cliff Daniels are so good at racking up points.
Yeah, very smart duo right there. But Yeah, I guess we shall see with these upcoming races on how Bubba Wallace will come through if he can break through that bubble and possibly get himself into the playoffs. I mean, we know Indy is a good track for him. He got a top five here a few years ago, one of the last oval races. So hopefully he can keep up the momentum from this track and get himself a good finish or maybe even a
Right.
win.
Momentum's real. NASCAR is a very streaky sport, and right now Ross Chastain's kind of on a downslide, and Bubba
Hmm.
Wallace is on the up and up again. Um, and I think it's easy to say, well, there are those two guys straddling the bubble line. Oh, those are going to be the obvious ones. But I think we may see Ross Chastain, who last year won Phoenix, 2 years ago was in a Final Four contender spot. Could Ross Chastain realistically miss out on the playoffs? I sure think so.
Yeah. Very, very possible. Trackhouse has not been where they need to be. Yeah, they got that one win with Suarez, but that's been about it
No,
for their highlights of the year for
no,
Trackhouse Racing.
no. And Chevy as a whole, again, I mean, Hendrick has won 2 races in the last 10. They've been both road courses. Um, RCR is RCR, and Trackhouse has not been having the performances that they've seen. And meanwhile, Tyler Reddick has 7 top 10s in the last 8 races. So Tyler Reddick is scary consistent. And
Yep,
yeah, it
he's ready
sucks.
to
He
pounce.
missed out on the win at Nashville and at Chicago. But again, he still finished second or third and second respectively in those races. So he's even if he's not getting what he wants, he's getting what he can out of the car, and that's really good.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. We're going to see how the Chevys will make out. We're going to see how the Fords will do, and we know the Toyotas are they're always going to be supreme wherever they go.
And we're going to see an oval.
Yeah, about time. It
We're
has
going to see
been
the Indy Oval.
about 4 years
So
since we
good.
have had racing on
Wow.
the Indy Oval for stock cars. So welcome back
Too
to
long.
the crown jewel. I cannot wait. So
Hey man, enjoy the race and be safe out there.
yeah, dude, I'm excited. Thank you very much. Indy's such a great place,
Yeah.
and then
Can't
next year you definitely got to come out with
Oh
us.
my goodness. I'd love to get back at Indy. Just go see it. It's a quick drive. We could do it.
Yeah, man. It
I
is.
gotta get off work in these weekends. It's
Yeah,
killing me.
right.
Killing
Hopefully you
me.
don't have any more busy weekends, you know.
Oh yeah, this past weekend was a little busy here in the news business.
What happened?
I don't want to talk about
I don't know, man. I don't keep up with things.
it. That's the problem. I have to sit in the front row of historical events whenever they happen, and it's not fun. It's stressful and long
You're a
days.
part of history. Just think about that.
Yeah, in the loosest sense,
Yeah, you're still a
but yeah,
part of
man,
it. That's what I would say.
Enjoy the race. If they ran on Monday, I'll come out there, but I'm not wishing that on you,
Yeah, don't
by
need
any means.
every single race I've been to this
Yeah,
year has had some kind of rain come into it,
no.
so don't need
Sunny
that.
sunny sky. I mean, the rain messed up. Did you see all the stuff about people trying to get into Pocono and they just couldn't?
Yeah, I
Like
saw
people were
people
pulling
like
in
tweeting
there
about it
during
and
the thirds. Like that's sad.
that
And
blows.
again, that place used to sell out all the time and have 2 races a year. How do they go so far as to forget how to manage that?
Yeah,
That looked awful. I always say the best cure for any bad day is going to the races and just taking in a race in person, but be incredibly frustrating to go all that way and not be able to get in.
yep.
So sounds
That's
like
why
Pocono says they're going to make it right to those people that got stuck. I guess their parking attendants had to take shelter during the rainstorms early, and then they just couldn't deal with the holdup. But it's just a shame. It's just a
yeah,
shame that we have another Kentucky type situation going on there. Um,
yep.
but
Really sucks to see, but that's why
Indy,
I always show up real early.
yeah, exactly. And Indy knows what they're doing, and Indy's looks pretty wide open. Where are you sitting?
So we haven't even bought our tickets yet
Uh
because
oh.
you know
Will there be
it's
enough?
yeah, real funny. We're gonna get the we got these last time we did the Oval, the Family Flex tickets, and they're basically just
Hmm.
GA. They have like five
Okay,
different sections you can sit in.
that's nice.
So last time we did it, we sat in like turn one at the start of the race, saw them come through, and then probably
It's a
at the
good
end of
spot.
stage one, we walked like towards the front stretch and just
Hmm.
kind of stayed there for the rest of the time. We had a monitor right there because you can't see everything. Such a big
No,
track. There's a lot of stuff
no.
in the infield.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what you get when you go to that track. I mean, it's
Oh,
historic,
exactly.
but not going to see
Exactly. I mean,
everything in
it's
front of
part
you.
of the experience and whatnot.
Yeah, really
So
is. So now
cool,
it's
cool.
2 races in a row where I go to where I don't have everything in front of me, but
Hey, what can you do? It's a big
yeah,
sport, big money, big tracks,
historic races.
big
That's
TVs,
for damn sure.
historic
Yeah,
races.
damn straight. All right, guys. Well, that will do it for us here at the Stock Car Spectacle. If you haven't yet, make sure to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and check us out on Twitter and Instagram. We're doing a diecast giveaway on Twitter as well. A 2011 Tony Stewart Office Depot diecast 124 scale. So any of you
Sweet.
diecast heads, make sure to enter in to that contest. All you got to do is follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our channel, and you'll be entered in to win that Tony Stewart diecast.
And you could have your very own diecast of the week.
Damn straight. You can join us on the show and talk about it. So that will do it for us, guys, for the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson.
And I'm Tom Hoblin.
And enjoy Indy this weekend.